Good morning. We got Lisa back with us this afternoon or evening, depending on what time you've rolled out this email and video. We are working on surrender. So I'm going to keep it super simple today. You are likely to have felt little pieces of surrender in different postures. Most typically when you get to Shavasana, we allow for that little bit of surrender. So sometimes, most times it's helpful to get a little bit of work to get there, right? We get the physical asanas, of all to get the Shavasana, to get the release. So a little bit of movement. We're going to start in your ragdoll. So at the front of your mat, just taking a moment, take your feet nice and wide, toes in, heels out, just folding, right? Thinking about the simplicity of surrender here, just dropping the weight of your shoulders, your head, your jaw, and just giving gravity a moment to make its way down the length of your spine. You can feel free to move around in the feet, front to back. Maybe you got to move through the hips a little. Feeling gravity plunge down through the feet. Actually, one of you, you'll know who you are, sent a really beautiful poem about gravity. So I've been thinking about gravity plunging through the feet in a lot of these poses. Maybe that's helpful for you too. So just really gently, get a good breath in here. You can surrender at the bottom of each exhale. You can start that simple, right? Many opportunities for that simple release. As you release your arms here and work your feet underneath you, just come rolling into a flat back. And take a moment to roll the shoulders down, tuck the chin, kind of nestle into some strength there, and then release. Reach all the way to standing. Just a breath or two, hips press, gaze might follow fingers. And as you exhale, Uttanasana, surrender. Inhale to lengthen. And as you step back to high plank, knees are up or down, really doesn't matter. Chaturanga low, be generous as you inhale to open. And exhale, downward facing. Right foot is reaching to the sky. Just going to peel the hip open, 3 breaths. If it feels good to bend the knee or roll out ankles, wiggle toes, go for it. Just draw the belly in. Take a more good breath to press up and back. And as you draw your knee towards your nose, step gently through low lunge. Right hand is going to reach to the sky. And again, just a breath or two to get us moving. Start to awaken the hips, so engage your glutes. Fill up as you reach, and then exhale, drop palms to step forward. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale to fold. 1 breath all the way to standing. And as you exhale, Uttanasana, those little bits of surrender. Drop your head, lengthen, and pause. We'll step right foot behind us, low lunge. Going in reverse, left hand to the sky, peeling open. I get into anything that feels good. You get the ball of your back foot, you can shimmy around a touch, rinse the shoulders, fill up, and then exhale, drop the palm. High through low. Maybe take a longer breath in as you open. You get a little hip opener, heart opener, throat opener. There's no rush. Down dog when you're ready. And then we'll take that left leg to the sky. Those 3 breaths. Pressing shoulders away from ears, finding a little bit of surrender when and where you can. Here, maybe just dropping the weight of your head a touch. As you step your knee towards your nose, this time will come to the front of your mat. All right, toes touch, lengthen, and then go ahead and fold. All the way to standing. As you take this reach, you want to hold on to that little bit of length. We're going to sink right into Utkatasana. So hips way back. You could remember way back to day 1. You can take hips up and back and side to side, but take them a little bit behind you so you're in the heels. You're going to stay here in Utkatasana as you drop the shoulders and toe heel the feet out nice and wide. A little shimmy, shimmy. Toes out, heels in. Malasana, hips are sinking, mindful of the knees. As you come through Malasana, pause. You might use your elbows to kind of press the knees out, but then you want to activate the hips to open, to abduct the knees all by themselves. So from a little bit of strength. Once you've settled into a little bit of length down the spine, some engagement in the sacrum, you're going to drop your palms or at least tented fingertips. We'll take that stretchy version of your Malasana. You can move a little side to side. Drop palms will reach on the other side to rinse the shoulders. You can move around. We'll take one more cycle this time as you reach the right hand. Maybe it's a half bind reaching behind you for that hip crease. And then release. We'll find a little stretchy on the other side. Maybe that half bind-ish. Just moving in that direction as you start to release. Hips lift through your forward fold, feet underneath you, and then lengthen. We'll take one more chaturanga. When you're ready, plant the palms, knees are up or down. Maybe as you open the heart, it's a locust. It could be cobra. You got all the options. No rush. And when you're ready, downward facing. Right foot steps, warrior one. And take a breath in to reach, kind of root down. Find a little bit of softness through the shoulders, the jaw again, right? There's some strength here, also bits of surrender. And then we'll peel open warrior two. Settling a little bit into the breath. Exhales, find that little bit of release. Right, yeah, even in Utkatasana, flip the palms, inhale, reverse. Slow it down this time. As you exhale, release, find palms, and we'll come right into half pigeon. As you lift the foot, toe heel it across, and settle knees in line with your hips. You can stay lifted, or you can choose to fold 8-7. If you want to stay a little bit active here, so maybe you're on forearms. Maybe the little bit of activity comes in the form of engagement around the hip joints. It might come in the form of staying active in the breath. For 4. Feeling that little bit of stretch come into the knee, the hip. For 2. And then as you find your palms lift, curl those back toes, downward facing. If you need a little 3-legged dog or just a shimmy through the hips, go ahead and take it. We'll come right to the other side. Left foot steps, warrior one. Long breath in to reach. Exhale starts to root you down. We'll take one more good breath for some measure, and we'll open warrior two. Yeah, enjoying just these little bits of stillness. Exhales, a little bit of release. Maybe you can drop the weight of your shoulders. Nice job. Flip the palms, reverse your warrior. You might linger here for a little bit of a stretch, and then when you're ready, release the palms to your mat. We're coming right into your half pigeon. So if half pigeon doesn't typically tend to work for you, you can stay lifted. You can slide a block or bolster, some couch pillows, whatever you have underneath your bum. You can still take them under your heart or your forehead, but we're only lingering here another 8-7-6-ish. Drop your shoulders and soften the jaw. Let a little bit of space spread across the brow. Right, it's never forcing ourselves into these postures. Sort of the trick, if you will, about some of the arm balances and the hip openers is really finding that bit of surrender, the softness, the release. So we're definitely not trying to force ourselves through anything. You can get one more good breath here. And then find the palms. You're going to press up through downward facing. Maybe press the sits bones up and back and side to side. And then we're going to soften the knees to meet your mat and cross your legs, come onto your bum. So similar to half pigeon, as you extend legs out in front of you, as though you were going to set up Dandasana, right? You can move the flesh out from the biscuits. You have blocks available to you. We're going to send a little bit of strength down the right leg. Left foot is coming up and over like a figure 4. So we're going to take a pose, a seated variation of Ardha Baddha, which is your half bind. Padma, your foot, Paschimottanasana, which is your forward fold. Any part of that, right? So moving mindfully the heel towards the hip crease. Before we get there, we want to set up a little stretch in the hip, slightly different than half pigeon. You're going to hold the left foot in recline, straight down to your mat. You can hold the foot, your shin lowering. Starting seated is going to give you a better indication about where your hip is and how you can support it. As you let the weight of your knee hang heavy here, it still might feel good to place either a block or cushion underneath the left knee, or you can wedge your left palm underneath your biscuit there. But just another really deep breath in, a really good breath out to kind of play dead in the hip. Let gravity do its part. And then again, from strength, tuck the chin, rise up through seated. Release that poor little leg of yours, and we'll take the right foot up and over. Start with figure 4. If that feels okay, you're moving it up your thigh towards the hip crease. It's not about forcing. Right? Take a moment to tilt the tailbone, lengthen the spine, take note of where your hip is, and then we'll start to recline. Half lotus. So a little variation here as you come all the way down. It's really settling into the gravity, but supporting the right knee if that feels better, if it allows you to release some of that holding on for dear life in the right hip. Every exhale, surrender. Remember, we're not trying to change what is. Find contentment with the moment, with the breath, with that right hip. Excellent. As you come up through seated, pause on this side. And we're going to set up that Ardha Baddha. So you can keep, you're actually just going to keep that right heel to your hip crease. And again, any part of this, you can support the right knee with a block. You're going to reach your right hand around behind you like we started to do in that Malasana. It doesn't need to reach the toes, but see what you find. Maybe it's a heel, a shirt, part of your pants. Tilt the tailbone, press the heart forward and roll the shoulder blades behind you. And then you're starting to find any bit of forward fold. Remember, not rounding yet, just hinging from the hips. You can place the palm anywhere it's comfortable to do so, but if you find you're able to reach to bind your big toe, you can go for it. So left peace fingers to your left big toe. If you'd like, you can reach your heart towards toes, gaze towards toes. If there is room somehow in your body to fold and round through the spine to drop the head, you can do that too. But wherever you are is perfect. Right? Those little bits of surrender. 2, staying active in the breath. 1 more cycle. And then gently unravel. We'll take it to the opposite side. Be mindful, be gentle as you release the hip and extend. Opposite heel comes over, flex the toes. Remember, you're hinging at the hips, lengthening the spine. This time, left arm reaches around behind you. You might not find a foot on this side. I know I certainly did not this morning. And then we're folding, reaching, maybe just the gaze towards the toes, maybe fingers find your big toe, right, for a little bit of bind. We're going to take 3 breaths. So you're staying a little more active here in that front quad. Even the hip, perhaps, shoulders are working away from your ears. And you are working on not forcing yourself into this, but rather surrendering to wherever you are. You take 1 more breath. And then gently release. Yeah, Lisa's new favorite. We're going to set up, as we work to a traditional fish, which lotus doesn't work for me at this moment in time, you can plan to set up blocks. You're going to flop them so that they're exactly. If you're taking supports, exactly, you want to have them somewhere so that as you came down, they were around your thoracic part of your spine. So a little demo, yep, almost at the base of your shoulder blades. So as you stay seated a moment, you can cross your legs, just a regular crisscross. Don't worry about the half lotus or full lotus. But if you'd like to feel accomplished, Siddhasana, you're going to take whatever foot is in front and place it just on top of the calf. So the crease between the calf and the thigh. This is a variation on your easy pose, which is the crisscross you just took. And a variation on half lotus, which is, or full lotus, which is heels towards hip crease, which is certainly, as I mentioned, not working for me. So aptly named, feel accomplished, you're doing it all. Cool beans. So traditional fish, you'd be reaching for your feet, your toes for the bind. Here you can reach for your shins, your feet, your inner thighs, or as we get into this, maybe nothing at all. But as you recline, you're coming towards a fish. So you're lifting the heart again, pressing the shoulders underneath you, and starting to recline ever so slowly to meet the blocks at first, or cushions, or maybe you're just experimenting with what this would be, right? For Lisa's body this morning, knees are lifted. It's not necessarily ideal, so we're going to invite Lisa to drop slowly the weight of the knees. And you can rest your palms right at the hips. You can open them to the sky, but drop the weight of your head. Now, if you're working all from strength, you're lifting, right, without the blocks. You can stay right where you are, another 3. Feeling free to uchi yourself around here. You could try all the variations for 2 or none, right? Maybe you're just in a Supta Baddha Konasana version. We will take a supported fish, so don't worry. But for now, as you tuck your chin and rise gently out, back to seated, you can leave your blocks if you'd like. Maybe you swap for some couch cushions. And you're going to take your feet out in front of you to take a variation on boat. So bend the knees, plant your feet. Your feet are kind of hovering, so as you lean back, you're starting to find the strength of the lift. Again, lift from those low ribs, roll the shoulders, and then bring the heels up more like tabletop. Now you can go for full extension of the legs, but we're wiggling into that variation on your fish. So again, as you recline, keep the boat portion of this, but see if you can't articulate the fish component here. Lift the low ribs, roll the shoulders down, let the gaze fall. You have the blocks, you can settle kind of hovering on them, or you might explore trying to uchi off of them and maintain a little bit of fish and boat, up to you. You got 3. So a lot of strength, but also a lot of surrender here to manage the reclined variation of your fish. You got to let go in spaces, stay engaged in spaces. Whatever hot mess is happening for you is perfect, right? Maybe you've never played with this before, so kudos to you. You're going to take one more generous breath to come back to seated from strength. Extend the legs down your mat. And this time we'll set up for supported fish. So this time you're going to come all the way down. You can take a bolster, take some blocks. You can take something underneath your head if that allows you to find a little more release. Remember, today we're working on the surrender. It might feel finally really good just to let go. To find that variation of fish pose that's going to allow you to release any holding in the breath, holding in the body. Might even close your eyes for 5. Noticing already how much has maybe shifted, remembering it doesn't take too much, often to turn our mind inward, away from the details of your day. If you are drifting off to sleep, if you're taking this in the evening, then I suggest maybe you linger, maybe you've already gotten into bed. But if you're off to something else, maybe you're taking this on a lunch break or first thing in the morning, I'm going to invite you gently to tuck the chin, activate the belly, draw yourself up through seated. You know, whether you take a comfortable seated position, crisscross legs, sit on a block, come back to gently placing ourselves on purpose. So less of a press of heart forward, more of a stacking of the spine. Feeling the weight of your shoulders drop, jaw drop. And as always with gratitude, remembering we're using this practice to kind of mold these postures around us, so you're supporting yourself. You are not forcing yourself into poses. That is not the goal. Right? So with gratitude, as you bring your palms to heart center, moving them to forehead center. When you're ready, with respect as always for ourselves, these bodies, those around us in this practice, together we bow and we say, Namaste. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Toodles.